Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to be looking at the Mackie by TexTalks BattleTech. Now, last time around, we finally got to the Mackie itself being introduced, and that opening test where the guy's like, okay, I'm gonna stomp on you, and then he actually does it, and just, I want a Mackie, man, and, well, I couldn't find one on eBay, unfortunately. People have given me a lot of links to actual companies that have the rights to make them professionally, and apparently they're just really damn good, and I'm gonna have to look that up. Also, that there's apparently a clan Mackie that I can actually use on the tabletop, and it's actually really good. Yeah, sure, why not? Dick lasers for everyone! Because that's a thing. Otherwise, I'm just going to jump right in and see where the hell this goes next. I have no idea. I know nothing about this time period other than what's been said so far, and that's it. We're just going to jump in. Otherwise, you know the deal. Link below, original video with text. It's a Black Pants Legion. Hit them up. They are directly responsible for my Mechwarrior 5 and BattleTech Harebrained Schemes version addiction. Yeah, that's on me. Otherwise, let's get started. Exclusivity not guaranteed.
Naturally,
oh, they're selling
the
it.
Mackie was immediately selected for mass production, desperate for relevance.
I know this is custom art Tex hired, but what was he asking the artist to do? Make me a character who's both arrogant and pointing, but also looking like he's in the middle of a very large constipative flush. That's the only thing I can think, because this is someone who's like, oh, it's coming. Also, you should go. I'm not the only one who's going right now. You should go. Oh my God, what would they? I don't. Wow, I didn't even notice the crazy space uniform with the incredible epaulets going all the way out, and just there's a sword on him, but yeah, and then there's the. I'm going with space troopers in the back, sure, but. Oh God, the art, and he customed this. Everything he does with this guy, that's not the one image, is custom because he had to get an artist to do this. Wow.
Jacob Cameron knew he finally had something worth gambling on.
Yep.
And immediately he set the #1 priority for all industrial military production to the Mackie. There was now nothing more important to the Hegemony armed forces, nor more important to the state's security apparatus than mass producing the barely tested new design. After February 2439,
oh, it looks
the Mackie
really
became a
huge
significant part of the Hegemony's entire budget.
Oh, now this is interesting. I'm wondering if they made an early prototype that actually was this size by comparison to individual people that barely go above the foot. Again, BattleTech art scales are... This is more in line with the Star League era stuff. This thing right here is Ava-sized, which is impressive. Also, I love the articulation on the arms. It looks so freaking cool.
As numerous factories were set up across the Hegemony,
and this one's more belly lasers.
New weapon.
Definitely an older or a newer art.
2443 that the weapon's platform saw its true first test.
Ooh, what happened?
Actual ground combat.
Also, I heard the first pilot actually died from the interface.
Lance of Mackies from the 801st Heavy Armored Regiment, the first such regiment to be fully equipped with them, faced off against an entire Kirita tank company on the planet Styx. Kirita's forces were committed to probing attacks, exploring any weaknesses in the Hegemony's forces, before deciding to bring heavier equipment. This was a mission to test.
It says slow and steady because they're big, slow battle mechs. Granted, by comparison to tanks, they probably are still slow. And you can see one is actually knocking it over. Oh, dude, I love the articulation here. It's actually something that BattleTech art doesn't really do. Showing certain physical actions, usually because it's always shooting, and you don't really get close enough for melee. You can see some punching every now and again, but showing a tank being kicked by a Mackie, which doesn't have great articulation, but it's still getting it across, and you can see it, it's just really bulky, really unwieldy, but at the same time, it don't matter because it's still able just to get in there and whoop, out of it. Sorry, I love this art because it does so well showing exactly what's happening. It evokes so much motion. Where this one looks slow and steady, that one looks slow and steady. This one looks like you got too close to a Mackie and it fucked you up.
Test the enemy's resolve before committing further forces to the field.
Oh, and also that's neat. You can barely see it, but this is actually a moving image. There's different layers, of course. Yeah. See this? Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So they have the background in the ship, and it's unblurring here. And while this is there, they're blurring at different levels. So this stays blurred where this focuses. And the tank is actually moving while it's being kicked, and this guy's moving back to show it. Oh, that's neat. Sorry, I just love it whenever they edit these images in because we're moving slow enough you kind of miss it. But here, no, you can see it. I'm going with the dropship here is running out of the way, and these guys are just like, yeah, Sorry, just the art and the detail on the edit's really beautiful.
This was a mission to test the enemy's resolve before committing further forces to the field.
I'm assuming they decided not to.
What they found was a new nightmare when the 4 Mackies they encountered curb-stomped the entire company.
4?
Before leaving one badly damaged vehicle to scurry home.
God damn. Oh, and then there's the guys in Korea right in the front.
That soon spread through the inner sphere. War had changed and had new toys.
Yeah.
The great houses were made aware through impartial observers in accordance with the Aries Convention.
The fuck? Yeah, this is 80s. This is 80s and someone who just watched a lot of comic books. I don't mean read either. I mean, they watched them because they didn't take anything in and they just went, hey, what if we went with someone whose head is supernaturally huge, but then they have a really small facial section? It's like, normally your head is like the same size, proportional, but this guy's going to be like massive, big brain. Yeah, dude. Oh my God. This is literally 80s art. It is so 80s, it hurts.
Upon hearing of a new technology that single-handedly turned an attack, they were afraid and naturally desired this new technology.
They could probably buy it too.
The Great House's #1 priority was to find out how the damn thing worked and make their own, as the Hegemony was not interested in sharing this breakthrough with the other states.
Now that's interesting. I'm not surprised that they're not selling it right away, and I'm assuming he's about to say for a time they won't sell it, but I honestly was expecting that they would sell it immediately to them and then say, but we're also selling it to everyone else, and you probably want to buy more, and just start the arms race because they have one hell of an arm. I guess that would only make sense though if they already have something better than on the rollout, which is what they've done with all the other technology. It's probably only a matter of time.
They sat in fear that their vast armies were now a generation behind, and without hard data, they could only watch and wait to see what else came from the Hegemony. Meanwhile, each great house committed enormous resources to their intelligence agencies.
Oh, it's espionage, that's what this is.
Attempt to capture any working copy of this technology.
But there's probably not that many to even
trying
capture.
And failing numerous times, the Mackie blueprints and technological information necessary to produce all major components was finally stolen by the Lyran Common.
Really? A space CD that looks like some... If the last one was painfully 80s, this one is painfully 90s. It's like, we got the trench coats all black with the huge sunglasses, and we got the most dangerous thing in the world, a CD that also looks like a Walkman, but also a CD player, and it has giant buttons, because in the future, everything is built more robust, because we definitely don't have touch interfaces yet, and we haven't thought to use them yet. I'm sorry, this is just, it's so painfully 90s, but it's actually kind of hilarious that way.
Commonwealth.
You can date the art just by what kind of things they're doing. And he has the 90s hair.
First engineering efforts proceeded at a breakneck pace to not fall behind the Hegemony in weapons development. The Mackie would be...
I like this because while this is disgustingly outdated, this is general spycraft. You take someone when they're doing, well, other things I'm not going to talk about on YouTube, and you take pictures of the documents that's in their briefcase that they're not paying attention to. This is literally how it goes. And by the image we're getting printed here, this is a scan from an actual book. Ooh, interesting. But what's so painfully old about this is the computer. Sorry, not even computer. The camera. The tiny spy camera. You can barely see at the top, and it's like, yeah, this is what future cameras are going to look like. Big enough that you can hold it in your fist. I mean, yes, that's what we do with cameras now, but also... Oh, wow. It's always fun to see when they think of space technology and then they date it based on what's available then. Just make it a little more compact. You can even see it's probably canon because of how it's designed. Oh my God.
Cloned at any cost. Through covert action, shrewd negotiations, and outright blackmail, the Federated Sons managed to acquire working blueprints from the Lyran Commonwealth sometime in 2457.
Wait, how'd the Lyrans get it?
And Proliferation didn't stop there. Such blueprints were stolen from the Lyran Commonwealth's Coventry facility in 2461 by Dest commandos of the Draconis Combine.
All I'm getting here is the Lyrans really need to work on their security. The Fed Sons got it, Akurita got it. I mean, at this point, I'm assuming Lao stole it from them through some kind of backroom deal, only to find out that one of their spies already had another copy because they just walked in and took it. And how did they get it in the first place?
If the Mackie hadn't started a revolution in military doctrine, it had certainly now started an arms race. The knowledge to build this supposedly ultimate weapon system soon, through one means or another, reached all the great houses of the inner sphere. Top design processes were reverse engineered and placed into immediate production. The Mackie was successfully cloned by the major powers, and accordingly, the only way to stay ahead now was to innovate. The Mackie...
Oh, so they all have their own copies. I'm wondering if they actually have historical models of just their own Mackies, or do they really diverge at this point? Are they all Mackies, or are they like the Kurita Mackie, which is different from the Lao Mackie, which is different from the Fed Sun Mackie, which is probably inferior to the initial Hegemony Mackie just because they have better tech to put in it?
Became the accepted standard, and so R&D turned toward newer, better Battlemech designs. Jacob Cameron put everything the Hegemony had into keeping pace with new designs. More Mackies for the interim, but more importantly, better designs and improvements to that which was already proven to work. Many of these design improvements were for the ease of mass manufacture. But this in turn gave ground to multi-mission capable designs, specific mission capable designs, and so on. Jacob Cameron poured so much money into this effort.
Sorry, just appreciating the awesome art on spaceships. Dude, it's a warship too, and god damn, I love the art on these things. I did check, you can't actually buy on eBay SLDF prints. They just, one, are probably too big to fit on a field, and two, if they did, it would be for like a space variant, not a on-tabletop variant, which would be cool, but I understand why it's not there. Again, I've seen the Iron Winds miniatures versions that are metal and that they're for a space variation of the game, but I kind of want something at true scale for the mechs themselves on Battletop. Just say that it flew in and flew out with a one-time strike. Would it be dumb? Yes. Would I want it? Yes. Probably be all the points I have, and then I'd be done. It's like, okay, well, I didn't win this turn. I lose. It would be worth it for a single very fast game, but it'd be so freaking worth it. More importantly, I'm very curious what the first specialty and this first general mech are going to be. If the Mackie is the prototype and too expensive, what are we going to look at for a generation one? Like, what is the next generation going to be?
That he sacrificed other programs entirely. It is of note that in the end, so much money was poured into the
fading out the Warhammer
R&D that the once magnificent Hegemony fleet was nearly crippled. The once mighty fleet.
1 second.
5 hours later.
All right, sorry about that. I had to go take care of a dog problem. Also, we just got a dog today, so yeah, that's fun. But it also means I have to learn how to make sure he's crate trained and also not peeing on the carpet, and had to go take care of that quickly. Other than that, let's get back to it.
Late in ordinary, as they went 1 full year without regular maintenance, as all military funding for anything not Mackie related had completely dried up. Director General Jacob Cameron stretched the state finances to the limit, nearly bankrupting the once wealthy Hegemony in the process.
I've been told that he gets better, but seriously, he nearly bankrupted them? I mean, I can't really complain because every time I play Mechwarrior and it comes to new shit, I always nearly bankrupt myself and have bankrupted myself multiple times, and it's an issue, and save scumming has been one of the only ways I've managed to continue playing the game because of that. Literally, I've saved scum to not lose a mech way early on that was way overpowered, and frequently because I buy too many cool things. I was like, oh, no, wait, that was a mistake.
So he could stay ahead of the game.
I mean, it's worth it, but
to drive the other great houses onward in research and development. In that relentless drive began a contest of governments, industrial concerns, and investments that continues to this very day.
Constantly trying to outdo each other. Part 7, Influence, Legacy, and
humble Mackie
Conclusions?
Was built right up to the succession wars, and believe it or not, it lasted through them.
Seriously?
And though they were ancient by the time the wars started, they served their purpose, if awkwardly, as a
I mean, I knew about the clan one, but that's because clan tech, and that it was more or less a shell with a lot of really high-tech stuff in it, but I didn't realize they were actually just part of the Force. Huh. Oh, that feels weird. Also, this is definitely older art, because I think that's an archer, and I don't think I've seen them depicted like that in a long time. And that's probably a black knight due to the shoulder pauldron? I have no idea what you call that.
Reminder that, yes, All weapons have an ancestor. So, let's look at what makes a Mackie a Mackie.
Oh.
The Scobell Mechworks MSK
It's a 100-tonner.
5S and 6S are the two best-known variants, with the 5S being the prototype and the 6S being the main production model.
Oh.
It was a 100-ton
100 tons, standard armor of 20 tons of armor, so 80 tons of just that. Engine of 360 Hermes. Hey, I actually understand this now. Sorry, I've been building mechs so long in both Harebrained Schemes and Mechwarrior 5 that I actually understand these terms. Before, whenever texted anything, I was like, I have no idea what these words mean. These mean nothing to me. Now I'm looking at it going, so a PPC and AC-10, 2 medium lasers. So 3 laser weapons, 1 heavy, reasonably heavy weapon, intended for medium or short range. Yeah, pretty standard. It's a 100-tonner. So they never really scaled up from it. They always just scaled sideways or down. Huh. I actually didn't realize it would be so heavy. I always thought the Mackie would be like something really small, just to say a prototype to see if it could work. But I guess if they scaled all the way up to 100 tons, god damn. Also, not a bad loadout, especially for early on. Hell, prior to the clan invasion, this is a perfectly, I cannot speak today. Personally, I cannot speak at all, apparently. Perfectly functional design. Maybe not great, but it works.
Mech, using the best weapons of the era.
Medium lasers in the dick, of
one
course.
PPC, 1 autocannon 10.
I mean, those are good for a lot of eras after this.
Using
Maybe not
the
Starly, but
Hermes
it comes around
360
again.
engine, it was capable of stomping around at 54 kilometers per hour.
360 would do that, yeah.
Generally, getting the job done. However, it is worth noting that the early stage of mech design meant that it had numerous faults.
Oh?
At least by modern standards.
Like what?
For one, most of its mechanisms were in the prototype stage, and so they were vastly overweight, oversized, and not at all optimized for mass production. The Mackie
Yeah,
does
so
have
a
one
future one
thing
would have
going
lighter
for
ones.
it, though, in that it has 20 tons of armor, which would have been a terrifying amount of armor protection for its era. The only notable modernization attempt was the MSK-9H, which was used.
Dude. That actually looks cool. And it's a full torso laser there, smaller arms, full up cannon, a lot of articulation, sensor suite. The cockpit looks amazing. I want this. Like if the previous Mackie is bulky, this one is cut down. It looks way more just intimidating, if anything. Hell, it has the same effect that the giant skull face on the Atlas does. This kind of fits that entire queue, and it's a 100-tonner. Is it a 100 tons compact? 19 tons of standard armor, 360, 2 PPCs, 1 AC-20, 2 medium lasers. Ooh, tactical museum piece. I don't know. I mean, considering everything in normal BattleTech prior to clan invasion is technically a museum piece, this kind of works. I want this. Unironically, I want it even more than the other one. It's a MSK-9H. Gotta remember that.
Used proudly by the Hegemony
That looks cool.
militia forces well until the American
Also, I just like
coup.
torso lasers. You can up armor them.
Scobell was only too proud to keep making the ancient design for clients who wanted to pay for old technology.
Yeah?
And even updated it to carry 2 PPCs and an autocannon 20.
I mean, if you have 2
allowing
PPCs,
the
that's
old Mackie to
that's
still
significant.
serve some use. The other notable example of the Mackie was the MSH-9HKR, or Kilroy's little buddy, who was the
Oh my god, they actually made a Kilroy joke. Sorry, in World War II, and I think maybe World War I, a various thing pilots would do was Kilroy was here. They just do like a little nose coming down, like a little, well, inverted U with extended line, and then a bunch of fingers on the side and little dots above it with eyes. It's a very simple looping design, but it's just like the entire idea of, hey, we were here. There's a lot more to it, but it's very popular from that era of war in general. So it's kind of see that carried over to this. It's fun. 2 LBX-10, 13 double heat sinks, intended to use SLDF mascot. God damn. 2 LBX-10 autocannons. Honestly, the PPC one I would be more scared of, but that's just because I don't like dealing with those things. It's just the freaking annoyance of them alone. That is a lot of heat sinks. Oh, wow.
the unofficial mascot at the SLDF Martial Olympiad's Desert Wars competition.
Oh god, they had competitions with, of course they did.
LB-10X autocannons and cellular ammunition storage.
Tonnage NA?
But as far as my records allow, it was a one-off, and therefore unique in all respects.
Ooh.
And believe it or not, there are Mackies still around. Some of these damn things have survived 7 centuries.
That almost looks like an Irby.
The last operational Mackie was known to exist in the Covington Mech Museum on Atrius in 3042. A head and a partial torso of a Mackie is still preserved at the Battlemech Museum on Solaris 7.
They have museums
and one was in the
they do.
Rosselhag Military Museum until it was taken by some assholes who don't know what nice means.
I know what nice means.
And how I said they had a clanner that did the Mackie. I'm guessing this is it. And he's actually calling it out because the clanner's the one responding to that. Oh, jeez.
I am being nice right now,
Yes,
but
we're not killing
tearing your limbs
Call
from
it.
your body.
Anyways,
And they throw paper at
Kerensky
him.
took 100 of the damn things with him on the Exodus.
100?
It is known
Damn.
at this time that at least one is still in the Battlemech Museum in clan space on... Oh god, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that.
Kapcha Mirvip? Strana Mechti. Of course, Kerensky's Russian. Of course, they put it in Russian. And that's Cyrillic then. And I have no idea how you pronounce anything in Cyrillic because I don't know how the vowels sound or the consonants for that matter. And this says it's Strana Mechti. Mechti? Is it a hard CH like Mech or Mechti? I'm pretty sure that's Strana. I could be very wrong. I see why Tex didn't do that. Also, it's weird that the clans had a museum. I thought they would be very much, if it ain't good enough, we'll take it apart and use it for something else. I thought they're just more pragmatic and low enough on resources that they couldn't really afford museums. That's interesting, unless that was something that happened later. Huh.
So what can I say about the Mackie and the origin of the Battlemech? The origin of the Battlemech was a combination of many ideas, really. Combining the proven reliability of...
Oh, now this is interesting. What they did here, I know this is supposed to be the prototype one because you see prototype on it, this prototype 3. So this might not be the first Mackie, but it actually looks significantly different because 1, it's fighting boats. 2, this is very different from the Mackie early on. This is actually that secondary Mackie that, well, loadout-wise, the art is a little mixed, and I kind of like just noticing that because clan stuff is, well, not even clan stuff, because text showed the art difference. It has the torso being more cut down of the secondary Mackie, which I need to get a copy of, but it has the weaponry of, actually, no, I think about it, this might be the specialty one that had the 2 LBX cannons, unless that's a 20 on there. I can't see what the other one is. It just looks more slimmed down, so it's probably, well, probably the mascot version then.
Industrial Myomer technology with other off-the-shelf products into a new weapon system was a natural course of action.
Yep.
Further, the demands of this era placed upon the weapons development processes
Never fought boats
mandated a
before.
rapid jump in technology to maintain primacy over other political states, but
Jumping?
I must ask...
Oh, jumping is in...
What was the Mackie
Technology
really?
jumps, not actually jumping.
Was the Mackie the revolution it was supposed to be? Was the Mackie the be-all, end-all for war? Was the Mackie worth the 90 years of research and development funding that would go away if they proved it didn't work? Was the Mackie the prototypical Battlemech a product of products, a creation born from generations of the greatest minds of one of the greatest nations to
Sort
ever
of? It
exist?
definitely sounds like a sort of.
Was the Mackie the bleeding edge? Or the greatest weapons platform up to that time?
Up to
More
probably.
importantly, I must ask, did the Mackie deliver on the hopes and dreams of its designers?
I'm going to say a lot of yeses, with the exception of the be-all, end-all still being warships, even if they've cut them out for their own personal reasons. I mean, other than the fact that they need to sell mechs, they need a store to come up with it, and I'm sure everyone definitely believes it, which is weird because they actually kind of did. Following, I know the next example is going to be, and here's where the Aries convention failed. It's either in this video or next one. We're going to get to that eventually.
The Terran Hegemony and the Cameron Legacy.
That does look cool.
Did it give them the edge and power they desired?
Yep.
Well, no. No, it did not.
Really?
I can say with certainty that it was a 100-ton piece of metal that awkwardly flailed at opponents too scared to realize it was a new weapon, not a fundamentally better one. It was a product of the military-industrial complex afraid of losing funding from a state terrified it wouldn't be able to lord over more ambitious powers.
Now that's interesting. So he's acknowledging that it's, despite all of the build-up so far, and this is definitely something older art because it's way more bulky than the previous one, and the dick laser is very much right in the crotch. Yeah. Seriously, you can tell the style just on how it's drawn. The stubbier it is, the older the art usually is. It's kind of interesting because everything Tex just said kind of sounds like what he's been building up to. It is the revolution. Maybe not because of the actual power, but because it made people go, oh shit, stop, take notice. It's basically doing what the Atlas does, of going sheer shock and awe. When you see an Atlas grinning down at you, it doesn't matter if it's terribly armed, it's going to fuck you up because it could step on you, if nothing else. And this could literally step on tanks, which is one of the ways it could get rid of them. I'm kind of surprised Tex is going that it's not the crazy innovation that, because it really does kind of sound like he's building it up to that.
The Mackie was a gamble, and I must say in that, against all rational odds, it succeeded. The Mackie by itself didn't deliver victory, or win any wars by its
it needed
inclusion
external
in the
power?
arsenals of mankind, but it did deliver
Maybe, for the
future.
test.
It was a flawed idea, and a new toy, executed awkwardly
And this is definitely
by
one of the
people
older
uncertain of what the future
models
would
with
bring,
newer art.
and what it would lead to. The Mackie isn't great as a weapon of war, but as a concept, it's pretty fucking brilliant. By combining all of the technologies necessary to meld man and machine into a singular weapon system, you amplify a combatant's strengths in the deadliest contest of all, war. Further, by putting more money into fewer, more complex weapon systems, war, at least in theory, becomes more humane. In theory.
Even as a joke, no. No, it doesn't. It just gets standardized the same way that warships standardized it. It just does it in a different way.
And with that, I suppose I should add in a postscriptum for some of the things I brought up.
Oh?
As I know there will be questions.
That does look really cool, though. So, yeah, it feels like we're getting close to the wrap-up, but there's a lot more that Tex is going to go into. And I am curious, though, if he's going to touch on what happened to the initial pilot, because I've been told that he died because the neural mesh did horrible things to him. I don't know if that's true. I haven't looked into it because, again, I want to see what Tex says. I'm very curious, though, how he justifies it at not being the be-all, end-all, because it kind of sounds like, from the sheer shock and awe value, again, like the Atlas, like I mentioned, it did achieve that effect. I mean, I know they're not saying it's better weapons. They're weapons they already had. They're just mounted on a torso that's slightly better armored for what it does, but it's slow because 100-tonner mech at 60 kilometers per hour. But I just want to find out what exactly... There has to be something to this that he's not saying to say why it's not the be-all, end-all, because he's kind of building it up as if at the time period it really was. It just feels like I'm missing a step here. And which is probably what the postscript in the next episode is going to cover, so that makes sense. Otherwise, I'm going to cut this one here because there's a puppy downstairs that hasn't been scratched on its head or its tummy for at least 10 minutes, and I need to fix that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.